Well, welcome to the latest edition of Trojan Football Talk. I'm your host, Tom Vartanian. Today's show brought to you by American Credit Union for every day, for everything. Located next to Little Caesars at 3944 Route 281 in Cortland. By the Cortland Voice, the exclusive media partner of Trojan Football Talk. For all your local news and sports in Cortland County at no cost to you, check out cortlandvoice.com. By the Royal Auto Group on Route 281 in Cortland, the home of no hassle, no razzle dazzle. Check them out at royalautogroup.com. By Yemen Real Estate at the entrance to Yemen Park off I-81, exit 11 in Cortland. By Nikki C's Hometown Pizzeria and Meatball Shop on Route 281 next to Hobos in Homer. Find them online for fast, secure ordering or call 607-749-5300. They have a unique menu with dietary-specific options. Nikki C's, your grab-and-go specialists. By Graftex, located on Elm Street in Cortland. Founded in 1984, they provide custom screen printing and embroidery for teams and local businesses. Graftex continues its dedication to servicing customers' needs for innovative graphic designs, custom and printed apparel, and quality service. They are easy to contact at 1-800-417-7791. By Seven Valley Agency at 18 Tompkins Street in Cortland for all your personalized insurance services. Give them a call at 607-753-1821 or check them out online at sevenvalleyagency.com. Seven Valley Agency, where your money matters, our advice counts. By M&D Deli, located on Central Avenue in Cortland. Open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. M&D has breakfast sandwiches, bakery items, and daily lunch specials. They are also available for catering. Check out their Facebook page for more information. Stop by or call 607-753-TO-GO. That's 753-8646. And look for the new food truck coming this spring. By Crop Growers LLP, the first choice in crop insurance located in Homer. Contact KC Slade at 607-591-2460 for more information. And by the First National Bank of Dryden at 12 South Main Street in Homer. Safe, secure, and locally owned for all your banking needs. For more information, stop by, call 607-662-4179, or check them out at drydenbank.com. Well, we are back, and it is part 3 of our conversation with former Homer Trojans head coach Paul Belodoff. We're glad he's joining us again today. And this we will wrap up his final 3 years of coaching at with the Trojans, at least. No more sectional titles in this run, but still, not a bad overall record any of these 3 years by any stretch of the imagination. So without further ado, once again, Paul Belodoff, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, good morning, Tom. Glad to be here.
Like we said, it's been a fun ride. We've done 2 hours and we've covered 2 teams, but of course they were very important. They were the first 2 Homer sectional championship teams. And of course, that 86 team as well, winning the mythical state championship for small schools in 1986. We've left off with the last 4 games of Mike Norris's career with 4 wins, and you've won 20 straight as the head coach. So it's a 24-game winning streak. And kind of because of all of that, Homer, I don't know if is it a punishment or if it's an honor, but
well, you must be talking about.
In 87, you guys got moved up to Class A.
Yeah, we were moved up to Class A2 because maybe we were too good. We looked at it that way, but there was no, there was really nothing that we could do to petition to go lower or go back to where we were in the Central. However, I think we gave a pretty good account of ourselves over the last 3 years that I was at Homer.
Yeah, I mean those 3 years combined, a total of 18 wins. There were 7 losses, but again, 18 wins. But again, it was against all bigger schools, and we'll talk about one that was never a friendly school to Homer, and in this 3-year run, but it seemed like things kind of went status quo to begin with. You came out of the gates in Class A2 there in 87 with a 34-0 win over Fulton, 31-0 over CBA, 27-0 over Elmira Notre Dame. So, right out of the gate, 3 wins. And then the 4th game was a win as well, 34-8 over Corcoran, who got their first points of the season off the Trojans that year. And that was followed by a 41-0 win over Bishop Ludden. So I mean, the beginning, that's, those are the last 5 games of the 29-game win streak. But other than giving up 8 points, it's just the competition was different. The schools were bigger, but the results were still the same, wins.
Yes, they were. And, it was a credit to the players knowing that we were the smallest school in A2 at the time. Unfortunately, for us, there was a stumbling block there called Nottingham that certainly gave us fits. We were very competitive versus Nottingham. In fact, that we had lost, over the next 3 years, we lost each game to them. However, Nottingham had some very, very good players, very big offensive and defensive line. But what really made them special were 2 running backs. First was A.J. Dowdell, and then, of course, our nemesis in Dorsey Levens. And for those of us that are old enough to remember that, Dorsey Levens, went on to Notre Dame, then Georgia Tech, and then the Green Bay Packers. And he was a man among boys. He was everything that you wanted in a football player, except the fact that he was wearing the wrong color jersey.
Like we said, the 29-game winning streak came to an end there in week number 2, 4, 5, 7. Yeah, week number 6. But like I said, it was a close game. I mean, this was the 29-game winning streak, 21-13. Nottingham and Dorsey Levens and company with the win over Homer that game.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was. We finished well. We finished well. We needed to beat Jamesville DeWitt to get to the Dome, and our prize was the A1. The A1 person or players from Fayetteville Manlius. And, although we lost 10-7, we had our opportunities. We blocked the punt and didn't get it in. And we also had a touchdown pass that was dropped by our tight end. I won't mention his name, but we played them extremely tough, and we gave a good account of ourselves. And we really couldn't get the offense in high gear. I had no complaints about the defense. We just had one breakdown, and they ran a wheel route outside to I believe the player's name was Steigerwald. Yeah, it was. And he made a real nice catch down the sideline and just over our outstretched arms of the linebacker. But these things happen, and we finished the year at 7-2, and we were getting ready to strap it up and do it again the next year.
So what was the turning point? Like you say, that Nottingham game, 21-13 is the game, like you said, you did battle Nottingham that whole game. What was that? What was the kind of the turning point in that game that, ended the win streak? Okay.
Well, we had actually, I'll look at it from a Homer perspective as far as the two situations. First was there was like 14 seconds left in the clock of the second period, and we were inside the 3-yard line, the Nottingham 3-yard line, and I thought we could run a play and then get a second play in. But what happened was we ran the play to the 1 yard line, and then Nottingham did not unpile. We didn't have a timeout, and I guess in 2020 hindsight, I should have thrown the ball into the end zone rather than try to run it in, and that was the first error. The next thing that we had, we ran in the fourth period. Brad Roos took a reverse from our tailback and ran it up the sideline, and the referee called a block in the back, but he didn't see the play because the kid turned his back on Todd Stratton, and Todd just buried him as far as the block went, and it was illegal. It was a legal block, and therefore the touchdown was called back, and then Nottingham ran the clock out on us. So that was the turning point, and we could have, I certainly felt badly for our kids, but we learned a lesson, and each team has to learn a lesson as far as it goes. You know how you feel when you win, you know how you feel when you lose. So let's do the best for you to feel good about yourself and good about your effort. If you've given your best effort and we come up short, we can live with it. Okay. And we lived with it, and we came back and we put that in our rearview mirror, and it was time to play Cortland, and it was a good time because we won. And anytime you could beat Cortland, okay, it kind of makes your season, so that was an important win for us. And then of course, we gathered everybody around. It was a Saturday afternoon, and supposedly Nottingham had lost, got upset. So all we had to do is, no small task, is beat Janesville DeWitt, and we would be going to the Dome. And I got everybody around us, okay, and I said, guys, I just got it from Coach Baden that Nottingham just got upset. So everything is right in front of you. You want to go to the Dome, you beat. And then Matty Ryder turned to me and he said, Coach, is this another one of your coach employees telling us about that? And I said, nope. Said it's absolutely true. And he goes, okay. And he went out and had a great game.
So like you said, yeah, your first encounter as head coach with Cortland, I think it was a 20-0 victory there. So yes, everything starts out well against Cortland in your coaching ledger, and then it was a 22-0 win over Janesville DeWitt. And as you said, that set up a third straight trip to the Dome. So some of the guys, this is going to be old hat for the guys. Hey, we go to the Dome. That was kind of the philosophy back in the day.
Expected. It was kind of expected, I guess. The experience is the best teacher, and that's what we were experiencing, all the time. But it wasn't to be. We gave a very, very good account of ourselves, and unfortunately, we lost 10-7 to FM, and that was our last trip to the Dome until Gary took over for me.
And like I say, so the season ended. It's still a very good 7-2 mark. What was it kind of like for you? Like we said, you had won 25 straight games as a head coach out of the gate, and all of a sudden, this stuff, you were prepping for those last 3 games. Coming off your first loss as a head coach, was it? I know what you said. You said to the players there, but what was kind of like going through your mind? Well, good, the pressure's off. My personal winning streak is kind of over. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I wasn't big on, let's keep the streak alive. I was big on what's our next game. and kind of focused on that. And I think sometimes you could get caught up in saying, well, I've won this, and I prefer to say, okay, we've got after Nottingham, okay, we've got Homer. Okay, we've got Homer versus Cortland. Okay, it's Homer versus an opponent. Okay, it doesn't help us to say that what we did against Nottingham is going to help us versus Cortland or whoever the opponent is. So I kind of put it in a rearview mirror. Don't get me wrong, the streak was fantastic. Okay, and it kind of put some hop in your step, but at the same time, you got to look forward to the next game. And those 29 wins that we had, all right, sure, you get a reputation of, oh, you're a good club and everything else like that, but when you step over the white lines on Friday night, it's 0-0 to start with, and you have to establish yourself, to play to the best of your ability, and hopefully the hard work that you put in during the week and the preseason will make a difference.
So the season's over, and ironically, you're still considered a small school as far as the state poll was, which you're playing, bigger opponents now, but I don't know how they figured playing an A schedule was making you a small school still, but they did. And like I said, yeah, it's still a good year, lost in the second goal, but still, extended the streak to 8 straight years of being state ranked. We're ranked 25th at that 87 season.
Well, that was certainly a plus. Again, a little consolation of that because of the numbers in Section 3, they moved us up a class and so forth. Doesn't seem, at now looking back at it, it doesn't seem to be fair. If you want to say these are our population didn't change, but why did our classification change? But this was the schedule that was given to us, and that was the one that we had to play. We can't take our ball and go home. Section 3 football was, all we have, and we tried to make the most of it.
And of course, it was the final year for Derwin Pitts. He had a great senior season, ran for 1,208 yards, finished his career 11th all time with 1,864 yards. And as we said, I was kind of beginning to see the emergence of Matt Ryder now as the quarterback.
Yep. Matt was a great athlete, free sport athlete, football, basketball, and lacrosse, where he was an All-American. He was our quarterback as well as our free safety. And sometimes I had to make sure that he was going to be deeper than he should be, because he would always want to be part of the action as far as that goes. In fact, we had to we put a couple of stunts in for him from the free safety spot, okay, and we called it the Red Baron because of his red hair, and we would ask him, you go, Baroni, what are you going to do today? For being the Red Baron, and he did anything that we asked, and he was a much better lacrosse player than he was a basketball player. I know that because he played for me. Okay. And he tremendous insight as far as where the ball was going, where he should be. And he was a quiet leader. I never had a quarterback that didn't talk as much as he did, but boy, he chose his words carefully. Let's put it that way. He didn't. He was a leader by action rather than words.
And of course, you still got 3 All-State selections in that, that 87 season. Todd Stratton at the defensive end side of things, Scott Petrie is an offensive guard. And of course, Derwin Pitts was, Todd was second team, Scott was a third team, and Derwin was a fourth team All-State. So you still got some players with some All-State recognition too after the season.
Yeah, we had we certainly had some notoriety. Again, when you're part of a program that has got a track record the way Homer had, okay, and still does, people take notice and say, what makes them go? Okay. Boy, that defensive end was tough, and people ran away from Todd. Okay. And Scott was very, very tough as far as inside, okay, clearing the way. And to make a long story short, you have to have a leader. Okay. You have to have a leader, whether it be defensively or offensively. Well, Matt was our quarterback on offense, and he was our quarterback on defense. Knowing where the ball was going, knowing situations, they all just got it done. Okay. There wasn't an awful lot of rah-rah with those 3 players. They just got it done.
Then came 1988, which was your toughest season as a head coach. Teams, like a lot of teams, are happy to have a 500 record. You were 5-3 on the year. Started out with a 41-6 win over Central Square, then lost to CBA 19-7 in week 2. Came right back with wins over Utica Notre Dame 48-7, 40-13 over Corcoran, and 20-0 over Fulton. And then at that time, a lot of people didn't realize, probably they all talk about the 29-game win streak. Not as many people I've talked to remember the 32-game home winning streak, but of course, that came to an end in week number 6. And again, of course, Dorsey Levens and his crew came to Butts Field and handed you guys a 26-0 loss to snap that win streak.
Yeah, they spanked us pretty good, and I'm not, waving a white flag or anything else like that because we lost. The day before we played on Thursday, we were just finishing up our pregame with our special teams and so forth, and it was supposed to be thud, all right, and which means you just square up, and we were doing a kickoff, and I'm trying to think, it was Davis was deep, and he was our tailback, and for some reason he had started to trip, and the person who was formed up on him tried to get out of the way, and he broke his fib, and that was our starting tailback, and we weren't the same without him. But hats off to Nottingham. They really shut us down pretty well. And again, it was a tough one to take. But we had to turn the page real quick, and then we were off to Cortland.
And of course, you bounced back, got your second win against Cortland, 28-21. And then, then close out the season, Jamesville DeWitt with some revenge from the year before with a 29-6 victory to close out the season. And kind of the first time really in 3-4 seasons, the team didn't get to go to the Dome either.
Yeah, well, it was there really wasn't any panic. I mean, it wasn't time to circle the wagons being 5-3 and then, just, not coming out on the left side, as far as wins go. Again, you're the smallest school. Okay. And again, not an excuse or anything else like that, but if you're the smallest school and each week you go up against larger schools, they have a larger pool of players to go against you. And it's just, I guess, a war of attrition at times. Okay. Football, very physical game. You're going to get banged up. You're probably going to get banged up more versus a bigger school than a smaller school, for whatever reason that might be. But again, great group of guys. They held their head high. Certainly were upset that we didn't finish off on a positive note. But again, we turned it around. The next year, and we finished 6-2. Tough game versus Cortland at the last game of the season. We lost 6-0. Patty Thomas from Cortland picked off Mike McGrath, and they punched it in, and we weren't able to do much offensively. And it was, as I recall, a real muddy game. And Gary had to make sure that the ground crew was going to spend a lot of time on that field. After that, that was really, it was like a quagmire, when we finished. But it was an interesting game anyway.
Yeah, for that 88 season, the last year for Matt Ryder, finished his career with 1,016 yards passing, and he had a target. Even though the running was good, it wasn't, there was no big stand-up back, but he had a fine receiver that year, Joe Jacoby, 17 catches for 273 yards. So they were an offensive pair to deal with, in going through the air.
It certainly was a nice compliment to our tailback. And, again, we've gone through this. It's, Homer football during the 80s. Well, you know what? You might as well just continue it all the way through. Okay. I guess Gary learned a good lesson from me, and I learned a good lesson from Coach Norris. Said, if you're going to have a tailback, use them. And we certainly did. So in the running game, it was the tailback, and then there's play action off the tailback action and to our receivers. What happens usually is that if we establish our running game, then the defense has to bring another secondary person in to the box, and therefore there's got to be some sort of man coverage or 3 deep coverage playing against us, and that makes it beneficial for us to go play action.
So then in that 89 season, well, we should say, like you mentioned, is, we talked about what Matt did on the offensive side. You talked about what a good player he was defensively, and that 88, that's the first year. 88 that snapped the streak. No state rankings that year at all. But 1988 team was the last all-state player at all until 2004, which I think is ironic. That the last one in 1988, an all-stater, was Matt Ryder at safety. On that 2004 team, Matt was a third teamer that year. Homer had 2 all-staters in that 2004 season, the first one since 88. One of them was a linebacker, Toby Reese, his third team. But first team, ironically, another safety in Brian Bruce, who, almost had a single season interception record that year. But for Brian, but, like you say, that was a tribute. Not only did Matt have a good year offensively, but, did still earn all-state recognition as a safety.
Yeah, as I alluded to before, okay, quarterback on offense, quarterback on defense. And it was amazing the amount of field that he could cover. If the ball was thrown to a deep third, I could always count on the safety being over the top all the time. The only time again that he wouldn't be over the top would be if we were changing up some coverage. But most of the time we were in a 3 deep. Occasionally we went man. We went man and 1 free, and Matt was always the person who was free because he had a nose for the football. So he was a quality defensive player, and he just built upon the year before, and just went on to have just a great season.
So that final year was 1989, 6-2 record. Again, like I say, none of these records are that bad overall when you look in the scheme of things. But you started out with a 12-0 win over Central Square. Then, of course, the one team you couldn't beat, Nottingham, got you 14-6 in week 2, and bounced back with a 12-6 win over Corcoran. So 3 tough games right out of the gate. Then a 24-14 win over Notre Dame, 12-0 over Fulton, 29-7 over Jamesville DeWitt, 44-6 over CBA. So all of a sudden the team's on a 5-game winning streak. You won 6 of 7. And then, I'd say this does have to sting a little bit. Probably your last game as a head coach was that 6-0 loss to Cortland, of all people.
Yeah, it was a tough one. That was a tough one. That was it in the pouring rain, and give credit to Cortland and their D-back Pat Thomas. He did a good job, and he jumped what we would call a curl, and Mike didn't see him, and let it go, and he ran the ball back inside the 5-yard line, I believe, and then they punched it in, and that was all she wrote. We couldn't generate any offense. We played on the same field as Cortland did, and it was a sloppy field, and we couldn't establish our offense. And neither did Cortland, to be quite honest with you. But it was kind of bittersweet. It was kind of bittersweet as far as that goes. Nobody likes to lose to a rival. And I prefer to say, nobody likes to lose, but over the 5 years that I was varsity coach, according to the numbers, we were 38-7. I like to think that, I had something to do with that, as well as, the players, character and ability, and things like that don't come along very often, and I was blessed to have a good staff, great players, and as I've said before, community support as well as administrative support.
Of course, as far as that 89 team wrapping up his career, a 2-year career as a tailback, was Chad Barber, finished with 1,005 yards. So that puts him on the career rushing list as a runner. And again, as you said, even though he made a mistake in that Cortland game, it was the first of 3 seasons with Mike McGrath at quarterback. He threw 44 completions out of 98 attempts, 5 touchdowns for 621 yards. And he, of course, went on and had 2 other seasons that were part of the, considered good seasons, single season record, but he ends up number 2 all time with 1,750 yards thrown for his career. When you had him that first year, you just know that Mike McGrath was going to be that next real great quarterback for a few years?
Well, to be quite honest with you, we thought that he was, going to be able to step right up. And there was certainly a lot of pressure on Mike, only because of the makeup of our team. Chad Barber did a nice job for us as a tailback, but Chad didn't have breakaway speed the way Derwin Pitts did. Okay, Chad was blue collar, tackle to tackle. That's where he ran. When it was getting tough, it was like a street fight with him. He would just lower his pads and keep his feet churning. And more often than not, he would, move the pile a little bit. But we were not even though we scored quite a bit, okay, we were not as productive offensively as we had been in the past. But our defense rose to the occasion. And like I said, we had those two games, Nottingham 14-6 and Cortland 6-0 were the only blemishes on our team record for the 89 season. And when you think about that, that's basically one possession in each game, that we lost. So, my hat's off to our athletes, and for the effort, that they put forth, throughout, my time when I was at Homer, whether it be the varsity or working all the way up from, my student teaching year from, let's see, that had to be 1972, all the way to 1989, including 89, before I left for ESM.
And of course, I'm going back as I'm trying to look up other things at the same time, and I can't find my one page. But also that year was a good, like we said, it's good as Mike's first year. Al White was the top receiver that year on the team for Mike, and had a good season in his own right. 19 catches for 330 yards. So I mean, he was Mike's really top target that season.
Right, he was the home run threat. Put it that way. He could take the top off the defense.
So as we wrap it up, like we say, 38-7, 844 win percentage. There was, again, you did get ranked that year, got an honorable mention for that 1989 team did get an honorable mention. So Homer back in the polls that year, and that was the last time they were in the polls to the 2000s as well. So I mean, it was been quite a dry spell there. But again, like you say, you look at the winning percentage for you. That's just, that's going to be something that nobody, I think anybody is going to threaten. Gary is next in line as far as winning percentage now, and that's 625, but you end up 844. I mean, that's still, like you say, a very nice run as a head coach for a 5 seasons, and like you said, 38-7.
Yeah, we were obviously quite pleased with the results of those 5 years.
So what made you decide in 89 that was going to be it as far as being the head coach and stuff?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I thought that, the success that I had in Homer, okay, everybody looks, or I shouldn't say everybody, but I was looking for the next challenge. I'm not saying that, I should have just stayed at Homer. I mulled that over quite a bit. But I thought that, there really wasn't anything else besides continuing in the same vein at Homer, or should I look for another challenge? And I decided that I would look for another challenge. I received a phone call from a fraternity brother who was a guidance counselor at ESM, Tom Yano. And he said to me, he says, Paul, you should, I've had many of your games. And he was a highly rated football official as well. And he said, I think you could make a difference here at ESM. So I went through the interview process, and I received an offer, and I decided that I would take it. And I was, they asked me why did I think that I would be able to work at a larger school at ESM? And I said, well, I've already followed one legend in Mike Norris, and there's no replacing Mike Norris. It's just following Mike Norris. And now I'm going to do the same at ESM with Jack Griffin. So Jack was the football coach, and he was football coach for many, many years there, and athletic director. And I became the head coach over at ESM, and tried getting that program back on track. Initially, we started off pretty well, and then kind of sunk a little bit. But anyway, it was a challenge, and that's why I took it.
And of course, as far as the Homer side of things, you were, like you said, you were the basketball coach and involved in a few other things during your years with the Trojans. And it's kind of funny, like we said, we watch everything, and it seems to have become a pattern, especially the last few years. There were a couple good basketball teams that made some sectional runs, and West Hill ended them with Sean Malone coaching in recent years. But for the most part, it seemed like it was basketball at Homer was kind of like that fill-in between a football season. A lot of guys would go to wrestling, but it was like really a fill-in between the football and the baseball lacrosse season more than anything. And so, the basketball had a few good years, but not that many good ones. Did you kind of feel that same way, that, you had good athletes, they just weren't basketball players?
Well, you know what? When I worked my way through, starting at the modified level when I first came to Homer, as a first year teacher. I was a seventh grade basketball coach, and worked my way up, freshman, and I was a JV coach for Jim Luxinger, and Lux and I are two Long Island guys, pretty fiery at times, and after Clarkey and Tinkham they left, it wasn't a great deal of talent that was left in the cupboard, and it was frustrating. It was frustrating. People go, "Geez, Paul, this is your football team scores more than your basketball team," and we laugh about it, but it was sometimes it was pretty hard to take. We would always have backboard insurance, because the way we shot, we would almost break the backboard, but we always scrambled for any kind of loose ball and everything else. Anything physical, we were tough in, but finesse wise, basketball was not our sport. and I knew it was time to step aside for that.
So as far as there is the Jim Curry tipped me this, and we joked about it a little bit. I said I joked with you a little bit about it to kind of verify what was a true story. Supposedly, this is when you're coaching at ESM. Eventually, it rolled around the chance that you're going to be playing Homer, and a Homer jacket got burned at that point.
Well, you were correct. Okay, when the schedule came out. The schedule came out in 90, and we looked at what the schedule would show. Or let me back up. It couldn't have been 90.
91 is the first time you played
91.
And you won.
Was, yep. And we were at. It was at Homer, all right, and the seniors on the ESM squad said to me, "Coach, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to show us that you're an ESM guy and not a product of Homer? What are you going to do?" So I said, "Well, let's say I'm not gonna get a tattoo or anything else like that. That's not my style. But so suppose I burn a jersey." They said, "Okay." So I looked for a jersey. All right, and I said, "No, I'm not gonna burn a jersey." Okay, but I did have a rather old windbreaker that had a Homer football helmet on it, and it was kind of a wet day, and our bus pulled in, and we were in the girls' gym. They put us, or the auxiliary gym, downstairs, and there was an exit off the parking lot. So I called everybody together and I said, "Guys, you asked me what I was going to do. All right. And I want to show you that I'm not just an ex-Homer coach. I am the ESM coach." And I tried to light the jacket, and the jacket wouldn't light. So I went around the corner, and it was John Durkee from the junior high who had played for me. And I said, "John, you got a match?" He said, "Sure." He gave me a match, and I lit it up a little bit. It didn't burn very well, but we went out and we won 15-8. And John came up to me because he was doing some sideline stuff, and he said, "Geez, I wish you would have told me that. I wouldn't have given you the match." But so I just, it wasn't any disrespect meant at Homer. It was just to show my seniors that I was with them.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was, like I was going to say, what would, doing it in Homer, no less. I was going to wonder what the reaction would be. But when you say John Durkee too, he is still, was a basketball legend in Homer.
Well, that's the wrong John Durkee.
Oh, the wrong John Durkee. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, the John Durkee that you refer to was my student teacher.
Okay.
I was his student teacher. He was my master teacher. All right. And he introduced me to Gary Myers, and Gary Myers then introduced me to Coach Mike Norris.
Okay. Well, that's just that. So like, I know we have fun with that stuff, but so how were your years at ESM, and did you do much after that? Were you pretty much was ESM your kind of the end of your coaching career, or what?
Oh no. I was at ESM till 96. All right. And the last 2 years we didn't do very good. We were like 3-7 or thereabouts. And I had at the time, okay, you know, it was a struggle because initially we bought into the things that I carried through from Homer, you know, the weight room and the weight training and so forth. And then there were 2 years that we just didn't get any athletes, and they didn't buy into, you know, making themselves better in the off season. So consequently, you know, we're playing up, and you know, we're getting beat up pretty good as far as we weren't strong enough. And you know, we just couldn't get it where we were competitive. And I was, you know, mulling, you know, what should I do and so forth. And then I had a little health emergency. You know, they thought I had lupus, which thankfully I didn't. And I went to my rheumatologist and said, you know, what do you think? So he thought it was lupus. And I said, what's a trigger for lupus? He said, stress. And you could guess what would give me the most stress was the fact that we weren't doing very well. So it was a tough decision, but I decided, you know, that if stress was going to be a trigger, then I needed to eliminate the stress, and I resigned as coach. And so I resigned as coach at the end of November. Okay, was going to the rheumatologist for, you know, a series of months, and then answered the phone from Carl Sanfilippo, who was the Baldwinsville coach, and said to me, Paul, would you like to entertain the fact that you know, we need some help over here, and would you want to come? And I spoke to Carl, and he put, you know, the parameters on what, you know, as a varsity assistant I would be doing and so forth, and it sounded great. And so I ended up at Baldwinsville for to 2017.
Okay.
So I finished with like 46 years of football.
Wow. And of course, now is, like I said, we're doing these on Zoom. We're doing these because you're in Texas. So what's life after coaching been like for Paul Belodoff?
Well, life after coaching, well, it's hard to get into football being a northerner coming down here. Texas has certain rules as far as to be part of coaching staff for a public school. You need to be hired as a teacher for that particular district. And I didn't really want to be a teacher anymore. You know, I had gone for 32 years in New York State doing that. But I did coach for the last 5 years. I was coaching girls lacrosse down here, both on a travel team and a high school team. And that has been a lot of fun. Right now, I've taken the year off, and every day is a Saturday, and it's great being a grandfather. So that's my life right now.
Nothing wrong about being a grandfather and kind of relaxing at this stage of life. Not a bad thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
All right. In closing, we got, about 5 minutes or so. I think you can do it in 5 minutes, but we kind of talked a little bit about Gary, helping you as an assistant coach back, your years here at Homer. Um, did you know he would be the next guy that would be a good fit to become the head coach at Homer? And I know his career started out tough to begin with, but he's going into, I think, like season 33 now as the head coach with the Trojan. Like you said, he's finally got some sectional titles under his belt, and as well. Did you know he would be a good fit for this program? And then he has added, like, former players like Tom Cottrell, his own son. Of course, David helps out, and got a guy from the rival Casanova team, and Jim Whidden helping coach him, and build a good JV staff up as far as coaches. And Mark Ferrito and guys are still helping with the modified. So did you just see that he'd be a good fit to be the head of the ship again here at Homer?
Oh, I certainly did. In fact, he was as my assistant. Okay, what we did is, we sat down early and discussed what our opponents do best. I would be taking care of the offense, and he would be taking care of the defense. Although we coached both sides of the ball, because we didn't have the number of coaches that Gary enjoys now. But what would happen was, by the time Gary was into his first year as a defensive coordinator, he after Billy Bierman, he would come up with the defensive game plan. Of course, we would tweak it, and he was very, very open to criticism. And what we would constructive criticism. What we would do is we would pick at each other. Where I'm saying to Gary, this is what I want to do offensively, because this is what Team X is doing defensively. All right. And he says, well, I think we can make this change, because I know this defense well, and this is the weak point, and that's what we should do. And, then I would take his suggestion, and he would do the same thing. He would then show me his defense, okay, versus our offense, and what I would do, okay, what I would do in that situation. So we were kind of feeding off each other. But the thing that, I tried to stress to Gary is that just because an assistant makes a suggestion, okay, and this goes back to Coach Norris and Coaching 101, just because you have a suggestion made by an assistant coach is no reason for you to change. Look at it, analyze it. If it's valid, now you change, okay? But just because somebody said, I think this will work, you don't do it. Said, you have to believe in it. And, hopefully I passed that along to Gary, which I think I did. And, he's made some critical changes to his offense and defense. And, he's building, once again, Homer is not rebuilding. They just reload. And, that's a credit to Gary and his staff. And that's a credit to the athletes who buy into, what Homer football really is. And I couldn't be more proud of Gary and what he's accomplished for himself, for Homer football, and for the Homer student body and the community. He does a great job of promoting doing the right thing with the athletes.
Well, Paul Belodoff, like I said, we thought, we said, well, maybe we can do it in one, but no, we realized with might take 2 or 3 parts to actually cover your coaching career. And you've been gracious enough to give me 3 hours of stuff to play for the people that may not know who you were. And like I said, you were that bridge between Coach Norris of 30 plus years and now the Sealick era of 30 plus years of coaching. So it was a very special 5 years in Homer football. And I want to thank you for taking time to share some of those memories with us again.
Okay. Look forward to seeing you on my next trip to Central New York.
And with that said, that'll do it for this edition of Trojan Football Talk. Today's show brought to you by American Credit Union, for every day, for everything. Located next to Little Caesars at 3944 Route 281 in Cortland. By the Cortland Voice, the exclusive media partner of Trojan Football Talk. For all your local news and sports in Cortland County at no cost to you, check out CortlandVoice.com. By the Royal Auto Group on Route 281 in Cortland, the home of no hassle, no razzle-dazzle. Check them out at RoyalAutoGroup.com. By Yeaman Real Estate at the entrance to Yeaman Park off I-81, exit 11 in Cortland. By Nikki C's Hometown Pizzeria and Meatball Shop on Route 281 next to Hobo's in Homer. Find them online for fast, secure ordering or call 607-749-5300. They have a unique menu with dietary-specific options. Nikki C's, your grab-and-go specialists. By Graftex, located on Elm Street in Cortland. Founded in 1984, they provide custom screen printing and embroidery for teams and local businesses. Graftex continues its dedication to servicing customers' needs for innovative graphic designs, custom and printed apparel, and quality service. They are easy to contact at 1-800-417-7791. By Seven Valley Agency at 18 Tompkins Street in Cortland for all your personalized insurance services. Give them a call at 607-753-1821 or check them out online at sevenvalleyagency.com. Seven Valley Agency, where your money matters, our advice counts. By M&D Deli, located on Central Avenue in Cortland. Open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. M&D has breakfast sandwiches, bakery items, and daily lunch specials. They are also available for catering. Check out their Facebook page for more information. Stop by or call 607-753-TO-GO. That's 753-8646. And look for the new food truck coming this spring. By Crop Growers LLP, the first choice in crop insurance located in Homer. Contact KC Slate at 607-591-2460 for more information. And by the First National Bank of Dryden at 12 South Main Street in Homer. Safe, secure, and locally owned for all your banking needs. For more information, stop by, call 607-662-4179, or check them out online at drydenbank.com. So once again, very much thanks to Paul Belodoff for joining us for this edition. And thank you for his 3-part look into those very special teams from the late 80s in Homer. I'm Tom Vartanian. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.